Welcome to That Groovy Scoobcast, your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo. I'm Derek.
And I'm Shannon.
Thank you for joining us today. Sorry for that odd intro. We had a little bit of an interruption with popcorn that we're making in the background.
Oh, okay.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us again today. Today we're watching an episode from Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. I was so happy to watch it today. I don't know about Shannon.
It was better than last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I laughed quite a lot during this episode.
I smirked.
That's it. I would laugh and I look over at Shannon and she's just smirking.
Like, I was just like, oh, okay.
Holding back the laughs.
Oh, yeah.
Because she knows that it's good.
I was definitely not holding back much.
The episode we watched today was the second in the series, titled More Fondue for Scooby-Doo. But before we start talking about that episode or even our Mystery Machine match, we do need to make an announcement. Last week we watched the episode The San Francisco from What's New Scooby-Doo, in which the gang solved a mystery with a character named Ryan.
We didn't realize that Ryan was a real person.
He's a skateboarder, and throughout the entire episode, we just shat on this character because he sucked. The character sucked at skateboarding.
So just a clarification, Ryan is a great skateboarder outside of the Scooby-Doo universe.
His full name being Ryan Sheckler.
He's not... I don't know why he's famous in the Scooby-Doo universe.
His cartoon counterpart sucks.
Like, he just gave up a lot. He didn't really do much. Ryan Sheckler, in real life, he's great.
I don't understand why Scooby-Doo did this to him.
No, Scooby-Doo did you wrong, man.
Ryan, I don't know if you're listening or not. You likely are, but but you should go and watch that episode and see how badly you were portrayed.
Yeah, I'm very sorry, sir.
Well, with that out of the way, Shannon, are you ready to kick off the Mystery Machine match?
Definitely.
All right. For those who don't know, this is our weekly trivia competition where one of us tries to figure out which one of us knows Scooby-Doo better than the other. As always, Shannon, you can go first.
In Scooby-Doo's Night with a Frozen Fright, the gang goes to a research center called Sealand or Oceanland.
I think it was Oceanland.
Yeah.
Okay, here's your first question. Who says yippity yabbity doo? You know this.
I know it, but now I can't think of his name. Yabadoo.
Yes, you are right.
I was like, shit.
I was going to be really mad if you didn't get that.
He's my favorite.
What's your next question?
Shaggy is inspired by what 1950s TV beatnik character? Tom T. Hall or Maynard G. Krebs?
It was Maynard Krebs.
Yeah. What
is the name of the girl Shaggy gets a crush on in the live-action Scooby-Doo movie?
Mary Jane.
Yes, you're right.
It's his favorite name.
Yeah.
What are Scooby-Doo and the gang digging for in the beginning of Foul Play in Funland?
Oh, they were looking for clams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you know it.
Okay, here's your last question. What Indian legend scares the Scooby-Doo gang at the Grand Canyon? Demon Bear or Devil Bear?
Devil Bear?
Yes, it is right.
Okay. Shot in the dark.
Yep. Well, it looks like we got all of our questions right.
Woohoo!
Yay! Let's see how we tally up. It looks like now I am sitting with 20 points and you are sitting with 18.
Oh-ho!
You can catch up. There is still time.
I tell you, though, because last season, by this episode, I was so far behind. There was no catching up.
You've really been giving me, a struggle with trying to win this time.
I've been getting some good cards this season.
Let's see if you can gain some momentum in the next few episodes.
Hopefully. You just have to get a few wrong.
Okay. Well, that was this week's Mystery Machine match. You ready to start talking about more fondue for Scooby-Doo?
Yes, but can we have more fondue for Shannon?
We'll get on that. Well, today's premise for More Fondue for Scooby-Doo is coming from Scoobypedia. The guys crash an international global warming conference at Mount Yodeling. We finally learned how to pronounce that.
Good.
After learning through a message from Uncle Albert that Dr. Phibes plans to melt a glacier with his laser over it. When Dr. Phibes finds out Shaggy and Scooby is there, he hires Misty Swiss and her dog Carla to get rid of the boys before they can stop him.
Okay. My issue with it is that Misty and Carla don't do anything.
I don't even think Shaggy and Scooby even acknowledged them at all.
I don't think they knew that they were even there.
In a way, it kind of felt like a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner kind of situation.
Yeah,
I felt like Shaggy and Scooby were Roadrunner, and Wile E. Coyote was constantly being foiled in his plan.
Well, and I think even in some cases, like, where the Roadrunner doesn't even realize the Coyote's there. That's exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. Because they had no sense of danger.
No, they didn't. Like, she tried to fucking murder them with a machete at one time.
She just got an avalanche. And then turned into a snowman.
Well, before we get too ahead of ourselves, I am curious, like, what were your general feelings about the episode?
It was better than the last one, or the first one.
That we watched in this series?
Yeah.
What was that? Shags to Riches? Yeah.
So it was better than Shags to Riches. But, I don't know, it still wasn't great.
Do you think it's going to grow on you further?
I think if it keeps improving like that, yeah. I don't hate Ruby, which was a concern of ours.
Roby.
Oh, yep. See, and I underlined the O's so that I made sure I didn't do that. I don't hate Roby, and that was like a concern of yours for Shags
because
to
he's
Riches.
A recurring character.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't hate him. I think he's funny. We were worried about me hating him. Scooby fucking hates him.
It's hilarious.
So I think he's funny. He has like little quirks and stuff, so that's fun. But I think if it keeps getting a little bit better, I don't hate the artwork. I don't hate anything about it really. It's just not as funny. And it's not like
You were shitting on the artwork the last episode we watched.
Well, it's growing on me. I don't hate it.
Is it kind of like a situation with Be Cool where, you hate it at first?
Well, and I mean, it was, and I figured that this would kind of be like Be Cool where you'd go, Shannon, there's this new season. We have to watch it. And I was like, you showed me the artwork for Be Cool. And I was like 100% not going to watch that. And that's one of my favorite series that Scooby-Doo has. So I don't think this will be a favorite, but I think it will end up being decent.
Yeah. So the episode begins with Shaggy and Scooby. They're in the mansion, and they're preparing some superpowered Scooby snacks like we've seen in the last episode.
Which I still think is really cool.
The concept of the Scooby snacks?
Yeah. Well, because we've seen where in the pup named Scooby-Doo, there's like 99 flavors, and we've seen like them play with Scooby snacks before, even where like you and I joked that Yabba has like his snacks.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool now that these Scooby snacks can do like super strength, super speed.
They're kind of part of the story, aside from just bribing them to do something they don't want to do.
And we get to like have an insight, like they're actually made. They can be cooked in an oven, like.
Yeah, he made a bunch of them. Shaggy did. He made a bunch of different snacks that do different powers, like super speed, super strength. He did make one that like turns you into a hot air balloon, kind of. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And he made it cheese flavored. He did point that out.
I do want to say, though, like, in this season, Shaggy is more of an adult than we've, like, seen him be in past seasons. Mainly because I think he has to be. It's just him and Scooby. But, like, he's, like, preemptively making these Scooby snacks. Like, when we go on an adventure, we'll need super strength or we'll need super speed. We'll need to be able to be turned into a hot air balloon.
He's prepared.
He's prepared for it. And then we even see when they go on the adventure, he brings a whole bunch of Scooby snacks with him. Like, he's thinking ahead. And that's something we've never seen with Shaggy before.
I like that when he's listing off all the superpowers. He's like, this is super speed, this one's super strength, this one is super hot air. And then Scooby just yells, super hungry. He just wants a fucking Scooby snack.
He's like, bro, you've been cooking all day. The house smells so good. Just fucking feed me.
And Shaggy has the audacity to, like, keep them away from him because these are the super powered ones. They're not regular Scooby Snacks.
I mean, in which case, just give Scooby super strength and send him on his way.
Scooby did sneak the blimp. It was like a hot air blimp Scooby Snack.
It fills you with hot air so you can, like, float.
Yeah, and he did take it, and Shaggy's like, Scooby, did you take one of them? And he's like, no. He's already, like, 3 times his size.
Well, and I think it's funny because he's like, if you're fibbing, you're gonna be filled with hot air. And, like, Scooby, when he lies, sounds like he's hysterically crying. Like, he's like, no, I didn't take a Scooby Snack.
And then, like, the real powers of the Scooby Snack kick in, and that's when, like, all the flashes happen, like, in the last episode with the really cool light effects. And then he becomes gigantic. He fills the entire lab. And this is when Roby, the robot, comes in. He has an announcement for Shaggy and Scooby that came from Uncle Albert. He goes to Shaggy and Scooby, and off-screen, Scooby farts, and it, like...
lets out all the hot air.
Which blows Roby against a wall, and he's just like, danger, danger.
There's a gas leak.
It was a childish joke, but it was funny.
It was a fart joke, which got a kick. Derek laughed.
Admittedly. You did too. Don't even say I was the only one that laughed at it.
Okay.
Listeners, she is lying. She laughed just as loudly as I did.
I giggled.
As did I.
Because you were like, what? And I was like, he farted. Like, that's what the joke was. It
was not like that.
Okay.
Don't pretend like you're an adult. You're older than me, too.
I am the adult.
So Roby says that he has, like, a holographic transmission from Uncle Albert. Scooby doesn't really understand what that is. So Shaggy basically explains it's kind of like a movie. So Scooby gets excited. He's like, oh my gosh, a movie. So he goes to make popcorn.
Well, he says, I'll go grab the popcorn.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you I'm going to go grab the popcorn, it means I'm going to come back with popcorn for us to eat.
Yeah.
Scooby came back with kernels and threw it in Roby.
Well, he has to make it.
There's a microwave.
In the lab?
I'm sure there's an oven. I'm sure there's a microwave somewhere.
He pours it all in Roby's head while Roby is, showing the transmission. So Uncle Albert's trying to talk while there's a bunch of popcorn that's popping inside of the machine. And it's, like, fucking with the transmission.
So suddenly Uncle Albert is upside down, and then suddenly his head's missing, his body goes missing, then he starts spinning, and then suddenly his head, his body, and one arm are on the screen, and they're separately spinning. They're not connected. And it's just, like, it's a whole mess. All the meanwhile, like, the transmission is still coming through crystal clear.
Like, you can kind of hear him all right. And Shaggy keeps, like, glaring at Scooby. Like, are you fucking serious,
like, he just,
Scooby?
like, every time something happens, he just, like, side-eyes Scooby, like, this is fucking you. And then, like...
It's like us.
Yeah. And then, like, popcorn's coming out of the head, so they're, like... So, like, as mad as Shaggy is, he's still picking it up and, like, eating the popcorn. He's like, well, fuck you, but I'm still gonna eat this.
I just wrote down in this scene that no one says anything about it.
That's the whole thing. Because all the meanwhile, the only thing, like, you're watching Shaggy's face, like, be mad. He's smirking because he's like, this is kind of funny, but, like, I still have to be the adult here. Like me. And then... but he's eating the popcorn. All the meanwhile, like, everything is dead silent, and it's just Uncle Albert talking and popcorn popping.
With Uncle Albert's message, he's basically telling Scooby and Shaggy that Dr. Phineas Phibes, the main villain from the previous episode, so he's a recurring villain.
Yeah.
He's going to Mount Yodeling, that's a long name, in Switzerland, where he is going to melt a glacier with his new laser technology in order to ruin this global warming conference.
I thought global warming was going to come up a lot more than it did.
Why?
Well, like, because the whole point is that they're melting a glacier to, like, ruin this global warming conference.
Mm-hmm.
And you really, like, the only time you hear the word global warming is when they're like,
in the conference for a moment.
Yeah, like once. You hear the word global warming once in this entire episode. You also only hear the word fondue once in this entire episode.
But you know what's interesting is that he tells Scooby and Shaggy that Phibes is going to be like spying on the conference, like he's going to be in the conference, but he never was actually in the building.
Well,
he never left the blimp.
Albert can be wrong.
Okay.
Maybe he thought that he was going to be.
Okay. So the transmission ends, and Shaggy and Scooby now have a ton of popcorn, and they're just like in a huge pile of it. Shaggy says that it's good, but Scooby says that it needs butter. So Roby prepares butter. He says butter will be ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, and then Scooby just gets impatient. And he's like, just give it to me. And Roby just shoots the butter like a gun, like a water gun. And Scooby gets like drenched in butter. He's just like, thanks. And Roby's like, you're welcome, Ruby Roo. And Scooby's just like, it's Ruby Roo.
And it was just, Scooby does not like him.
He was just pissed the entire time.
I mean, I kind of get it, because, like, imagine you move into a mansion that comes with a robot butler, and you're like, hell yeah, but then it doesn't say your name right.
Well, it's just going by the name that it hears Scooby saying.
Well, exactly. No, and I mean, I get it, because Scooby corrects Ruby Roo with Ruby Roo.
Yeah.
So the robot is just saying what he hears.
Telling him to say, yeah.
But I get why Scooby is upset. I do like that Shaggy is always called Nephew Shaggy.
Yes. So they're going to get ready to leave to Switzerland. They pack up all the Scooby snacks that they're going to need. They have some notes and clues from Uncle Albert. And then Scooby has the snowboards because they're going to go snowboarding there in the mountains. I like that Scooby begins hitchhiking. Like, he puts up his thumb and is like ready to hitchhike, but they're just standing outside their house. Which is like on a big property. It's not like near the road.
Uber wasn't invented yet. Nobody picks you up from your house.
I'm just imagining like someone just standing outside of their house with their thumb up. But this is when Shaggy reveals that he used some money to trick out the Mystery Machine.
He used like just a couple Franklins.
Yeah, well, the entire Mystery Machine it's basically a new car.
He bought the Magic School Bus.
Right. Yeah, because like in the last episode, we saw the Mystery Machine just kind of croak and tip over.
Yep.
So he must have gotten a whole new van. This Mystery Machine is now capable of like transforming into all sorts of different, forms of transportation, like planes and snowmobiles and shit like that.
Well, and if you guys I'm sure you've seen the Magic School Bus.
I hope you've seen the Magic School Bus. I hope so.
If not, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. But
the original.
The original.
Don't watch the new one.
It like the bus would like suck into itself and then like pop out a new image.
Vehicle, yeah.
And that's what this Mystery Machine does. Like Shaggy bought the Magic School Bus.
And then just painted it like the Mystery Machine.
You can't convince me otherwise. That's what it is.
The Mystery Machine transforms into a plane. They hop in the plane, and the autopilot initiates, taking them to Switzerland. Meanwhile, we cut over to Phineas Phibes' blimp. He is telling Dr. Trebla about how he wants to use the laser to melt this glacier because the doctor who's actually like presenting at the global warming conference, his name is Joseph Gustav. I guess Gustav at one point called Phibes mad, and now Phibes is like super butthurt about it and wants to use a laser to show them
that he is mad. I mean, I don't know. Like,
but Dr. Trebla's just like, yeah.
Trebla's just like, just don't kill me.
I feel like Trebla's just kind of like
along for the ride.
He's along for the ride. Like, he's not scared of Phibes, I don't feel like. No. I feel like he's just kind of like, I know this guy's insane, but he pays really well, so I don't care.
Like, I might get some good shit out of this. Who knows?
Phibes tells... Well, Trebla was complimenting Phibes about how he was using, like, this cloud cloaking technology around the blimp so no one could see the actual ship. And Five says that he stole it from this other scientist, and then he used his genius intellect to, like, trick it out and make it better. All he really did, according to himself, was that he created a force field that, you know, protects the blimp from any, like, oncoming forces or threat. But it doesn't work because a bird just flies right into the windshield of the ship.
I wrote down that Phibes is fucking stupid, but I capitalized P so that I could pronounce it stupid.
Why?
Because he's not just stupid. He's like stupid.
I'm not cutting that out, just so you know.
It makes sense. But so Treble is like, do you want me to go look at the force field and, like, fix it?
And Phibes is like, yes, please.
Yeah, just go do it, please.
We don't see Trouble again, so the entire episode, that's what he's doing.
He's just down there trying to fix this force field. We get our first look at the Yodeling Mountain.
Yes, so Mount Zeri, I have to always, like, read the name. Mount Zeri Yodelweizen. It looks like a giant man who has his hand up to his mouth, and he's yodeling.
It looks weird, but, like, I get where it got its name.
Right. They're flying the blimp in between, like, the head and the hand, so it's just kind of hanging out there in the mountain. And this is when Agent 3, one of Phibes' agents, tells him that Agents 1 and 2 are kind of having trouble installing their homing beacon down on the glacier because he says, you know those bear suits that you got Agents 1 and 2 to wear? And Phibes is like, yes, another one of my genius ideas. And Agent 3 is like, yeah, it was genius, sir. But the bear suits came without eyes. So Agents 1 and 2 are just down on the ground wandering in bear outfits and they can't see anything.
They're yelling Marco Polo to try to, like, get close to each other.
It's just these two fucking polar bears.
Marco!
I think it's interesting how Agents 1 and 2 were, like, a big deal in their role in the episode for Shags for Riches. But in this one, this is really the only instance we see them, is when they're polar bears.
I think it's, like, I mean, I assume that, like, 1 to 10, you have, like, the most important to the least important. So the most important job was to get that homing beacon, so he sent his 2 most important bears. We just never see him again.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, though, is that in the last episode, they played a pretty big role, like, in the actual episode. Like, we saw a lot of them.
Yeah.
And in this one, we really only see them in that instance when they're installing the beacon, because after it's destroyed, we don't see them again.
Yeah.
Kind of like Dr. Trebla.
Maybe they ran away. They're helping Dr. Trebla.
So Agent 4 informs Phibes that a ship is flying nearby and that it's on their radar. Mm-hmm. So Phibes decides to test the laser to destroy it. So, like, he doesn't know what's on this plane or anything.
Well, and then also, like, why are you so concerned if you have this impenetrable force field?
I don't even think it's that. He's not worried about it threatening him. It's because he just wants to test the laser. That's all he said. Yeah. But, like, what if that plane, like, had a bunch of children and puppies on it?
He's evil. He doesn't care.
You just shot down a plane full of babies and puppies.
He doesn't care. He's evil.
Okay.
And mad.
And mad. Yes, according to Gustav, he's mad. So they decide to target the plane, and they're about ready to shoot the laser. At this point, Shaggy and Scooby have now, like, slowed down in the plane because it was going super fast at first. Shaggy decides to turn the plane into a snowmobile. I'm just imagining them sitting on this snowmobile. Keep in mind, they're still in the air.
They're like thousands of feet in the air.
And now they're just going to turn into a snowmobile and fall from the sky on a snowmobile. I mean, a canoe is not much better, which is what they end up having to use, but still.
We found out with Close Encounter with the Worst Kind that they don't really understand how gravity works, so...
Well, it's not like they're floating. I'm just imagining, like, them just falling in a canoe or a snowmobile.
Maybe they think that they'll, like, kind of just gently float down.
Oh.
Or maybe they'll think, like, oh, we can just land this jet ski or a snowmobile like a plane and then go off into the world.
They're not thinking this through.
Which is funny because, as I said before, we've seen that Shaggy can think ahead. He has been up until this moment. And then, like, he's like, we're thousands of feet in the air. Like, let's just turn into a snowmobile and we'll be fine.
He initiates the transformation, and it becomes a canoe by accident. They float there in the air for a second, and now they're falling in the canoe. Phibes was, like, ready to shoot the laser, and now they just lost all sightings of them on the radar. They're like, where did the ship go? Shaggy and Scooby land in the canoe, and now they're just, like, going all the way down the glacier.
Well, when they hit the ground, they hit the homing beacon.
Right, they landed on the homing beacon, scaring the shit out of Agents 1 and 2.
Because they can't fucking see anything.
And they end up, like, just sliding down the mountain towards the hotel where the conference is being at.
Yeah.
So Phibes is like, what happened? And he checks the video. I don't really know how they have a video transmission, like, right there in front of the beacon, but they do. But he, like, plays it back, and he sees Shaggy and Scooby land on the homing beacon, and he's like, it's that Shackleford's stupid nephew and his dog, and now he has to hire some agents to basically take care of them.
He asks, I think it was number 3, to look up the...
I think it was 4. Agent 4.
It 4?
Yeah.
So he asks Agent 4 to look up the scariest, worst, most horrible... assassins
that are nearby.
Yeah, nearby. So we find Misty Swiss and Carla. Misty is a badass with an axe who, like, throws the axe and this entire tree cuts in half.
It, like, lands right on the bullseye.
Yeah. Like,
and the entire tree just
splits
breaks.
in half.
Yeah.
I would not want to hand her an axe to, like, battle me with. Carla, on the other hand...
A huge sheepdog.
Is, like, the fucking worst dog on the planet. I'm sorry. That dog would be left at home. You can't come to work with me.
I don't understand why they're a pair. Like,
no, I don't.
This dog is not built for assassin work.
No, like, every time we see Misty, she, like, is doing a pretty decent job at her job. Carla, on the other hand, not so much.
Well, Carla keeps attacking Misty.
That's, like, the gag throughout the entire episode is that Carla keeps attacking Misty every time she's given an order or...
I think it's funny that in last week's episode, you were kind of worried that Shaggy and Scooby would, like, be in love with Misty and Carla. But it actually turns out they didn't even acknowledge them at all.
They had no... Like, they didn't even know Misty and Carla were around.
Right. Where are we? Let's test laser. Oh. Okay, we skipped over this part, but it's not a lot, so we'll just move it. It's okay.
Okay. What did we skip?
Apparently, Scooby and Shaggy arrive at the hotel before we see Misty the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll just talk about it.
Not a big deal. Shaggy and Scooby slide the canoe all the way down to the hotel. They hit a few cars when they arrive in the parking area.
They hit, like, a Lamborghini, which also... It might have been a Corvette. Either way, like, a nice car. How do you get a sports car?
In these mountains, like, there's snow everywhere.
Like, it's thick snow. And you have, like, a nice-ass sports car.
Like, other people are traveling by snowmobile. Shaggy and Scooby are traveling by snowmobile.
And canoe.
But how the fuck did you get a car out here?
You got, like, all these, like, vans and, like, trucks. And then you have, like, a nice sports car.
Right. They slide up to the valet, and they get out of the canoe, and Shaggy tells the valet, like, make sure you don't dent it. It's still in canoe form, so the valet's just like, I don't know what to do with this.
And, like, the canoe just kind of sits there until they touch it again, until, like, Scooby and Shaggy come back.
Right, yeah, so it remains a canoe the entire time.
The valet just leaves it up front, doesn't even touch it. He's like, I don't, it's just gonna be here.
A small detail that I noticed about the car keys for the Mystery Machine, I don't know if you noticed it, it's shaped and colored like Scooby's dog tag.
Yeah. I did notice that it only has 2 buttons, so you either go forward or back with
Or maybe it's like lock and... unlock?
Well, because that's what he presses to transform it.
Oh. Maybe one of them unlocks and locks, like, depending on how many times you press it. And then the other one does the transformation.
Sure. Something else that I forgot about when they're in canoe form and they're sliding from the top of the mountain all the way down to the hotel is at one point they go over this little, like, they
slide off a cliff.
Yeah, they, like, launch off of a cliff and, like, over this hole. They lose the paddles for the canoe, and my first thought was, what part of the van is that?
Like, is it the wheels?
Like, did you just drop
a piece of the mystery machine?
Is the mystery machine going to be topless now? Like, what's going on?
They turn back into it and there's just no wheels.
Yeah, like, I'm like, what are we missing now? Also, do you think that the 2 oars at the bottom of the trench also transform? So, like, the next time they're in, like, plane form, there's 2 giant plane wings at the bottom of the trench.
It's just funny, and it's just weird to think, like, are those oars part of the van?
Yeah, because there were also, you know, the snowboards that Scooby had brought transform each time with it because they're in the back of the canoe or, like, wherever. Like, they're always somewhere.
The snowboards weren't part of the mystery machine.
No, but they were in the back of the mystery machine.
Oh.
And so then when they transformed into the canoe, they were in the canoe. When they transform into
the snowmobile,
they're on the snowmobile also.
Mm.
So, like, it shows that, like, if you bring something, it does continue to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the oars?
Where did they get the snowboards later when they lost the snowmobile?
Maybe they carried them. I don't know. I'm not going to question that.
Okay.
So then we come across Scooby and Shaggy's trying to read back the
notes from the transmission.
Yeah.
They arrive in the hotel and they're just wanting to read it over before they go in the conference room. And
so Shaggy starts reading it, and then suddenly Scooby starts doing these mouth pops
in between. He's interrupting Shaggy.
And Shaggy, like, gets this annoyed look on his face and then continues reading. And then Scooby does the mouth pops again. And then, like...
It's like that.
And then, like, Shaggy starts to smirk a little bit. And so both Derek and I, it took us, like, the second watching around to finally realize what it was. But, like, clearly we missed something. Like, right. It was very confusing. Is what it was as Roby was taking the notes of the transmission, the popcorn was popping.
He transcribed the pops of the popcorn.
And so Scooby was just mimicking the popcorn.
I was so confused what was going on the first time around. I'm like, what?
Like, both of us
This is dumb.
Yeah, because I was like, did we miss something? What happened? Like, there's a huge joke that we were not let in on. It's very subtle. Like,
it was funny when we figured it out.
Yeah, once we figured it out, we both laughed about it. And it is something funny. We made it our opening quote. Like, it was something that was funny to us. But until you don't, like, if you don't get it, it's very confusing.
Yeah. They decide to get into some dry clothes because I imagine they're just drenched from all the winter snow all over them. So they go in this, like, little gift shop that's in the hotel, and they walk out in a ton of, you know, winter coats and winter gear. I like that the outfits match the colors of the mystery machine.
I also like that Scooby had a sock on his tail.
It was cute. He has to keep it warm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If I had a tail, I would be putting it on there.
Stop. He had to buy 5 socks.
Or gloves or whatever they were, yeah.
Do you think that they made him buy 6 and then he just, like, threw one away?
These are the questions.
That's the only thing I care about.
Sorry, Shannon. I'm more concerned about finding Mule. Priorities.
Everybody keeps disappearing. Mule. That skateboarder.
Rich girly.
This sock.
Find sock.
Hashtag find the sock.
So they now enter the conference room, dressed up in their winter garb, and they meet Dr. Josef Gustav.
Well, they, bust the door in and knock him down.
Is that what they did?
Yeah. They, open the door quickly, and they, he fell over onto the table, because then they are like, oh, this place looks pretty boring. That guy over there was napping. And the guy's like, I beg your pardon? And Shaggy goes, oh, why? Did you burp or something? And he gets so offended, and he goes, no, I did not burp or something. First impressions are key, Shaggy, and you just failed.
I'm wondering what Phibes did to Gustav to make Gustav say that he was mad. Because he gets really butthurt real quick with Shaggy.
Oh, I know.
So Shaggy and Scooby don't believe that he's not the spy that's at the conference because Uncle Albert told them that there's a spy in the conference room. So Scooby starts to pat him down and examine him. He pulls off his wig, and this really pissed off Gustav. He pulled off Gustav's toupee, and Gustav was pissed. My thing is the toupee is brown. The hair that's on the side of his head, his real hair that's still left over, is gray. I feel like they should be the same color.
Or at least touching.
Because they're not touching either. He has the side hair, and then he just has a toupee sitting on the very, center top of his head. It doesn't go anywhere.
No, it just looks like he shaved a weird part of his head.
He just shaved a circle around his head.
He's got a halo.
So they start, examining everybody that's in the conference room.
Security gets called on them.
Yes.
And, again, quickly thinking in the moment, Shaggy goes, okay, before we get caught, Scooby, you take the left side, I'll take the right, and just search everybody in the room. So, essentially, they crashed this conference so that they could go in and, just abuse everyone in this conference.
Shaggy walks up to this guy and is like, this mustache is too fake looking to be real. And he goes to, pull on the guy's mustache. And then Scooby finds this guy with a big nose, and he tugs on his nose.
And then Shaggy walks up to a lady and goes, oh, excuse me, dude or sir. I don't remember what he called him, some man. And he's like, excuse me, sir. As Daphne would say, no real lady would wear that dress with those shoes.
With those tacky shoes.
And the lady, smacks him with the purse. I fucking would too.
Right.
That's rude as hell.
Meanwhile, outside, Misty Swiss has arrived with Carla. And they go up to the valet, who is, standing by the canoe that Shaggy and
Still
Scooby
very
left.
confused.
Yes. And Misty says, is the driver of this canoe currently inside the hotel? I love her accent, her Swiss accent.
I think she's the only Swiss person that we meet.
Pretty sure,
that's
yeah.
there. But why would you choose Switzerland if there's not one Swiss scientist?
Or is anyone at the conference,
There's
right?
a lot of S's.
You were struggling?
I was the Swiss in the scientist.
Scooby-Doo, Shaggy in Switzerland.
I struggle with my S's.
Misty Swiss. Her last name is Swiss.
That's racist.
Shannon American.
Shannon USA. Derek Michigan.
I did not realize that until just now.
No.
That was lazy. That was really lazy. So Shaggy and Scooby do get kicked out of the hotel. They get thrown out right as Misty and Carla are going in. The door is a revolving door. Mm-hmm. So when Shaggy and Scooby go through it, they get tossed out in the snow, and the revolving door catches Misty and Carla, and then they get thrown out as well. So they land in a mound of snow right above Shaggy and Scooby. Shaggy and Scooby decide that they're going to take the snowmobile over to Mount Yodeling.
You're doing good.
I did good that time. But they're going to go over to the mountain so that they can, look around over there, I think. Is that what they were going to do?
I think so, because they're the only thing that they got from Uncle Albert was that it was happening in Sweden at this mountain.
Switzerland.
Oh my God.
I hope that we haven't been Sweden
this
elsewhere.
whole time. It's been happening. So they only got that it's happening in Switzerland. Something about a cloud, the mountain, and global warming. Like, that was the gist of what we got from Uncle Oliver.
To be fair to Shaggy and Scooby, that's not a lot to go on.
It's not. And then also there was popcorn popping, so that's pretty distracting at the same time. So, like, they don't really get a lot. So the whole global warming conference didn't work out. Let's try this mountain and try and find a cloud.
This is when Misty tries to kill them with a machete from behind.
They are gunning it on... Well, they're gassing up the snowmobile. And so she comes up behind him with a machete, and then they, like, gun it and leave her in the dust. And she gets turned into a snowman.
Yeah, she's just covered in snow. And she, like, fell over. No, this is when Shaggy and Scooby run her over on accident.
Yeah, because they end up that they go in reverse, and so they run her over. And so she goes flying in the air and falls back down.
And now the snow is piled on her like a fire hydrant, on which Carla attempts to pee.
So when Misty is like, no, don't pee on me, Carla attacks her.
Yeah, she was pissed, too. Like, you will not tell me where to pee. I will pee wherever I damn well like.
That's why I like cats. They pee in a litter box.
So this is when Phibes calls to check in with Misty on, how the mission is going. Misty says that they will be dead soon. So he's like, they're still out there. And this is when Agent 4, I think, notices that they're on the snowmobile.
Yeah.
So
Agent 4 is really helpful.
Yes, I like Agent 4. He's doing a good job.
Like, he deserves to be number 1.
Did you notice that his skin color changed a couple times?
It did, and then he's also kind of creepy, but, like, we still appreciate you.
That big smile that he offers up when Phibes, like, hires him. So Phibes now decides to use the laser on Shaggy and Scooby directly.
I mean, they have them locked on.
Yes.
Scooby and Shaggy are about to die.
Yes, the laser gets fired. Phibes yells, "Fire!" And as the laser is, like, shooting down on them, it, like, kind of just poots out and
like halfway,
stops. Yeah. So this was my personal favorite quote from the episode. Phibes, like, looks around the ship and he's like, okay, what was that? I could have caused more damage with a magnifying glass on a cloudy day.
So then number 4 realizes, and he goes, oh, I think the agents were, like, testing it. Look at those mountains. So on the mountains, on the 3 mountains right behind each other, it says, Agent 5 rules, Agent 6 loves Betty, and Doug is number 1. And so...
They just, like, this lasered this into the snow.
So Phibes laughs. He's like, all right, Agent 5, 6, and Doug, raise your hand. And so they all raise their hand. He clicks a button and the floor opens up and they all fall. I can't even blame him. Like, man, don't fucking waste my laser like that. So he does it so innocently, though. He's like, all right, 5, 6, and Doug, raise your hand. Like, yep, good job. You guys are great. Raise your hand.
Bye.
Bitch, bye.
We learned that Doug is the first name of Agent 10.
Yep. Which I don't know why he wouldn't just put 10, but...
Hey, now we know.
The
more you know. Fun fact.
It's a fun fact that we never have to... It's a useless fun fact because Doug is dead now.
So, Phibes basically tells Agents 3, 4, and another one, Agent 12, to get the laser ready and charged. And all of them are just like, yes, sir. And this is when Agent 4, like, really creepily smiles.
It's very big.
Like, huge smile. All his teeth are showing.
Yes. So I want to know why Scooby and Shaggy stayed in reverse for so long.
Right. They ended up crashing the Mystery Machine snowmobile, right?
Yeah.
Like, they keep going in reverse, don't know why. They crash into, like, a rock or something.
I think it was just a mountain. Like, they crashed into a big pile of snow. And then... So they, like, hop out of it, and, that's how they ended up with the snowmobile, or with the snowboards. Because when they crashed, the snowboards ended up in the snow next to them. And the snowmobile ended up in its own separate hole. And they were like, oh, I'm done with snowmobiling today. And then it, like, reverses out and dips out on them.
Yeah.
So the Mystery Machine is gone again.
So now they hop on their snowboards that Scooby brought to get closer to the mountain. They start snowboarding, and as they're getting closer to the mountain, Shaggy points out that the cloud that is in between the head and the hand of the mountain glacier, it's been sitting there all day.
How do you, you have to have a really good eye to be like, that specific cloud has been sitting in the exact same spot all day.
I see you.
I know where they are. And so Shaggy's response to that is, that cloud's been sitting there all day. Hand me the flare gun. I'm going to shoot it.
That's what he did.
Yep.
I mean, this is after Scooby asked if Shaggy wants fondue. Because Shaggy says, do you know what I'm thinking, Scooby? And Scooby's like, that you want fondue? And he's like, I mean, I want that too. But can you hand me the flare gun?
And that's the only mention of fondue that we get. It was so weird.
I mean, there was fondue at the end of the episode, but why is the episode titled Fondue for Scooby-Doo when there's hardly any in it?
So he shoots the flare gun. It does all this craziness and then ends up in the cloud. And that's where we hear Phibes yell, "Ah, my hair is on fire!"
They can hear him scream this from the ship.
It's echoey in the mountains, man.
So now Shaggy and Scooby know that Phibes is on the ship. They ride their snowboards closer to the ship, and when they're coming up to this tree, there's a sign that says that the snowboarding trail is out. But Misty replaces the sign with just open snowboarding trail or something like that.
Yeah, just hey, there's a trail over here.
Which is one of those instances where I feel like this really has that Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner scenario.
Yeah,
just replacing signs.
Yep.
Yeah. So they hide behind the bushes, and Shaggy and Scooby, keep going onto the closed trail. Is this when the snowmobile that drove off a moment ago kind of crashed into Misty and Carla?
So as they go off into another trail, Carla and Misty kind of step out from the tree a little bit, and the snowmobile, that's still in reverse, by the way, plows into Misty and Carla, and they go flying in another direction.
Yep.
And then it just cuts back to Shaggy and Scooby snowmobiling. Snowboarding.
I keep saying snowmobiling too. It's hard.
There's so much going on in this episode. So then it goes back to Scooby and Shaggy snowboarding.
They end up snowboarding off of a cliff.
And this is where Shaggy, pre-packing all of the super snacks, comes in handy.
Yes. My only thing with this is because when he pulls out the snacks for the super speed and the super strength, because those aren't useful in this situation, he kind of just tosses them aside. He doesn't put them back. Aren't the Scooby snacks containing the technology that Phibes wants? That's kind of careless.
Is that what Phibes... I don't specifically remember what Phibes
Yeah, because he wanted
it's
the nanotechnology that Albert created.
Is that in the Scooby snacks?
Yeah, that's what makes the Scooby snack super powered. We learned that in the first episode.
Nanos, okay.
Yeah.
I tried not to remember as much as I could. I blocked
You buried it deep in your mind.
It's behind that closed door that holds all the scary memories of my life.
But they do find one. It doesn't have any indication of what power it is.
It has a question mark.
Why?
Why would you make that?
Just why?
I could see Shaggy making them and just being like, you know what would be funny? I'm going to make different recipes, and in each instance, I'm going to put a question mark. It's like when you buy the pack of Airheads, and that white one...
The white one, you never know what it is.
You never know what it is. And he was like, you know what would be funny? We put a question mark on it.
Scooby eats it, and at first it looks like he's blowing a bubble for bubble gum, but it turns into a force field kind of thing.
And it entraps both of them in it.
So they start bouncing all over the place on the mountain, and they end up landing inside of the ship. At the exact moment that Dr. Phibes was about to fire his laser now on the conference. He was going to melt a glacier that's uphill behind the hotel, And then all the snow and the avalanche would come down and destroy the hotel, I guess.
So, like, the whole point is, like, it was going to melt the glacier. The water was going to, like, overtake.
Yeah.
And then he was going to, like, refreeze it.
Something like that.
Ha. Whatever.
That shows you.
Don't call me mad again.
Right. So Shaggy and Scooby do end up breaking into the ship through the force field right as Phibes was about to press the button. So Phibes like kind of freaking out, and Scooby and Shaggy like break a bunch of equipment inside, which I thought were like actually powering the laser. So I don't understand how the laser continued to fire.
No, that one confused me too.
They push Phibes out a window, and now he's just kind of hanging outside of the ship.
Phibes' glasses fell a little bit, and his eyes are so tiny.
You didn't notice that in the first episode? Yeah, they're tiny as fuck.
Like, they're really fucking tiny. That was just a fun thing I noticed.
Now Shaggy and Scooby are out of the force field. It wore off, and they run up to the button that activated the laser, and they can see that it's already activated. It's going to fire, and it starts firing because when the water starts pouring down towards the hotel, it's like coming from the direction of this like window that Gustav is standing at, you know, announcing the beginning of the conference. And he kind of just instantly gives up. Like, he's just like, we're doomed!
Yeah.
Like, how about you just not stand there and run?
Well,
get out of the building.
And the whole thing was, it wasn't that much water.
No,
like,
not at the moment, no.
No, and like, honestly, the water would have had to build up against the glass before it even broke the glass. You've got some time. Like, pack up your stuff, grab what's important. Like,
Don't even do that. Just get out.
But I mean, like, you've got time. Like, it wasn't coming that quickly.
He gave up as quickly as I would have given up in the boat outside of Alcatraz, surrounded by sharks.
But that at least was, like, more deadly, and they were going to die faster. Like, this one, like, you had at least 10 minutes for how fast that water was coming. You had at least 10 minutes. You could gather all your equipment, walk out of the building, get in your car, and drive home. You had some time. Shaggy
and Scooby start fucking around on all the buttons, trying to turn off the laser.
So Scooby finds this giant, like, pulley and pulls on it, which I'm not even sure what it did at first.
I think it started to make the blimp float backwards.
I thought that it controlled the blimp, but, like, I don't know. I'm sure that's what it did. It just didn't add up right. But it, like, threw the blimp backwards.
And it was started turning, and it was, like, shooting the laser at the actual mountain.
It was doing a lot. Yeah, they
just was fucking up that lovely man yodeling.
Yep. And then after they get, like, thrown into this wall, Shaggy finds a giant plug.
No, Scooby did.
Oh, Scooby did?
Yeah.
So they get thrown against this wall, and Scooby finds this giant plug, which just seemed weird and out of place.
He unplugs it, and the entire ship just shuts down.
Falls to the ground. Phibes then gives up so easily. He, like, because he's still hanging off the edge. So he just drops to the ground and goes, I'm going to get some cocoa. And he leaves. All of his men are still inside. The laser's there. He's like, I just need some cocoa.
My thing with this is a terrible design flaw with the ship relying on this one plug. And what is the plug plugged into? Like, is the ship self-powering itself with this plug? I don't understand.
No idea.
So, the police have now shown up, you know, because everything's gone to shit,
yeah.
Right? It's basically a terrorist attack.
Basically.
Like, on one of Switzerland's lovely monuments of Mount Yodelweizen.
The yodeling man.
Yes. And Misty and Carla, who are still on the snowmobile, they crash into the side of one of the police cars. And keep in mind, Shaggy and Scooby don't know who these people are. No one knows that Phibes hired them, but Misty, like, instantly turns herself in.
But not even for anything. She just, like, gets down on her knees and goes, please arrest me.
Like, she said that she wanted to go in and learn a legal trade.
Yeah, she was like, arrest me where I'll be safe and I can learn a legal trade. And then Carla, like, bites her leg.
Well, no, because, yeah.
So she turns to Carla and she goes, and Carla, it's to the pound with you. And so Carla, like, attacks her and bites her leg, and they're just dragging them both off. My thing is, what did she get arrested for?
That's what I'm wondering. And, like, I like that the police officers went through with it. Like,
Yeah,
they
they
put
were like,
her in
okay.
handcuffs and started taking her away.
I mean, I assume that, like, the police, like...
Maybe they think that she caused all of it.
Because if all this is going on, and this lady comes riding up on a snowmobile, and, like, crashes into your police cruiser and says, arrest me, I'm gonna arrest him.
I mean, Phibes isn't there to take any blame.
No. And, I mean, when it comes down to it, if they look into it, she hit a police cruiser with a stolen vehicle. So, ultimately, like, she is going to be prosecuted.
Just don't really know for what exactly.
I'm just hoping it's not for the terrorist attack, because she really didn't do that. But she did crash into a police car.
Scooby and Shaggy are watching her getting arrested, like, on the news or something.
Yeah.
They watched her get arrested on some kind of a screen while eating fondue. And then Scooby, does the little Scooby-Dooby-Doo while we look up onto the mountain, which has now been transformed into an image of Scooby.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo's face. So the yodeling man is gone.
It's been replaced with a Great Dane.
Yep.
Who had a hand in the terrorist attack.
Who basically...
What is with Mystery Inc. and terrorist attacks?
But, like, Scooby-Doo did that. Like, technically, Phibes was hanging off the side of the thing. Like, Phibes could be arrested for intent, but Scooby and Shaggy did that. They're the ones that turned the yodeling man into Scooby's face. And now they're just sitting back and eating
They destroyed a
fondue.
national monument of Switzerland.
And now they're eating fondue.
Yeah.
They were the ones that caused the terrorist attack this time. It was them. All them.
Well, remember when they caused the terrorist attack in the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo episode in the Himalayas?
Yeah. They're not good with snow.
They're not good with snow, plains, and mountains. Like, if those three are in the mix, you get the fuck out of there.
There's a terrorist attack happening.
Well, that was more fondue for Scooby-Doo. Shannon, what was your rating for this episode on the Scooby Snack-O-Meter?
I gave it a 4.
Why?
The first episode, I had actually given it a 2.
Okay.
I think that it got better. It still wasn't my favorite, but it's getting there. So I think, like, starting at a 5 where we say that's neutral. It wasn't my favorite. I'm not super neutral. Like, it's just not...
Nothing's your favorite.
Yeah, well, nothing's my favorite. We're getting into my favorites. But it's not, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
Well, you hated it a little bit. You're not sitting at a 5.
I hated it.
If you didn't love it or hate it, you would give it a 5.
I didn't love it, and I hated it a little bit.
I liked it. I actually am giving it a 7 today.
Okay.
I thought it was funnier than Shags to Riches.
Okay.
And I liked seeing the Scooby Snacks a little bit more in action this episode as opposed to the last one. Because in the last one, we really only see Scooby use it for, what was it, invisibility?
I think so.
No. Was it invisibility?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Whatever it was. In this episode, we see 2 of them, and we actually... And aside from that, we got to meet more characters. Like, I thought that Misty was pretty funny. Carla was a riot. One note that I actually forgot to mention in episode, at one point we see Misty look at Carla. Carla's off screen, and Misty says, "Carla, that is neither helpful nor attractive."
So she's off screen cleaning herself.
Or something.
It was just nasty.
But those characters were funny to me. And
they were, but...
I liked everything that was going on. It was enjoyable to me. So I'm giving this one a 7.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself today.
Thanks. So with your 4 and my 7, we collectively give More Fondue for Scooby-Doo a 5.5.
Woohoo!
Yay. So you want to hear a fun fact about Misty?
Sure.
She's voiced by Grey Delisle, or Daphne. Same voice actress.
Huh. It's funny because they do give like a little note to Daphne in the episode.
When Shaggy mentions her, yeah. So yeah, she's actually voiced by the same person who does Daphne in this series.
Cute. She's so talented.
Yeah. So next week, we're going to be watching an episode from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Woohoo!
I know you're excited about that one, at least.
That one's my favorite. Actually.
For Mystery Incorporated, we do watch the episodes chronologically, just like the one we did today. So next episode, we're going to be watching...
The Creeping Creatures.
So the premise for this episode is coming from Scoobypedia. The gang visits a mysterious ghost town that has many gator creatures.
That's it?
Yep, that's all it says.
Well, that leaves it open for an adventure.
I guess so.
I don't know. There's nothing to say. It gave me nothing to give an opinion on.
Do you remember this one?
No, but I'm sure when we start watching it, I'll remember it.
Okay.
It's been a while since we watched the whole series.
So if you guys want to talk to us about more Fondue for Scooby-Doo, the Creeping Creatures, or anything Scooby-Doo related, you can always find us online.
You can find us on Twitter at Groovy Scoobcast.
Or you can email us at thatgroovyscoopcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, www.thatgroovyscoopcast.com.
And with that, we want to thank you for joining us for That Groovy Scoobcast.
Come back next week for a Scooby Snack-filled time.
Bye, guys!
Bye!